Alright, listen up. Hearing Fred Warner speak for the first time since his practice window open changed the whole conversation, and if you care about this team, this is the kind of update that actually moves the needle. You already know why. Fred isn't just another starter, he's the heartbeat of the defense, the guy who organizes calls and makes teammates better. So when he talks about the doctor saying a return is a possibility, and when he uses words like day-to-day instead of shutting the door, that deserves attention. I want you to feel the shift here. This isn't a routine injury update where the team is deflecting. This feels like a controlled, optimistic progression toward availability. If you're watching this on the build-up to a big game against Seattle, that optimism changes how you think about game planning and momentum. Now let's keep it specific and practical. Fred mentioned his doctor looked at the bone healing a few weeks after surgery and said returning was possible, and that the rehab after the initial long wait period can be safely pushed to get you back quicker. That's important because it shows medical buy-in to an accelerated, monitored recovery, not reckless rushing, but deliberate steps to meet a timeline. When players say we're taking it day by day in this context, it often means they're testing pain thresholds, workload tolerance, and confidence on the field. That's different from saying I'm out or I'm not ready. So when you hear Fred not shutting down Saturday as an option, read it as an opening, not a closing. I want to hear from you after hearing Fred's comments. Do you think he's on the field Saturday? Yes or no? Drop a one-word answer in the comments and explain briefly why. And if you want more updates like this, breakdowns, injury timelines, and what it means for matchups, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. Your support helps us get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers and keeps more detailed coverage coming your way. Also, if you like this kind of analysis, smash the like button. It tells YouTube to show this to more fans who care about these game-changing pieces of news. I'm about to dig into Fred's exact phrasing and what each line actually implies for his availability and the team's game plan, so stick with me. Next, I'll walk through his comments line by line and explain why some choice words are more revealing than you might think. Now let's slow it down and really break apart what Fred Warner actually said, because this is where a lot of fans either get way too optimistic or way too cautious, and the truth is usually sitting right in the middle of his wording. When he talked about that first meeting with the doctor and asked if coming back was possible in a different world, that wasn't just a throwaway line. That was Fred testing the ceiling of his recovery. And the fact that the doctor didn't shut it down, but instead said it was a possibility, tells you that the bone healing is progressing well enough that this isn't a fantasy scenario anymore. Players don't even bring that up publicly unless the medical staff has given them something real to work with. Then he explained that the first 6 weeks are all about being non-weight bearing, which is standard for this kind of injury, but after that, you can manipulate the rehab safely and more aggressively. That's the key phrase, aggressively but safely. That's what teams do when they're trying to line a player up for a meaningful game, not when they're planning to stash him for later. Fred also admitted he's not fully cleared yet, but that's exactly what you'd expect at this stage. Clearance comes at the end of the process, not the beginning, and it's based on stacking good days on top of each other in practice. And when he was asked directly about this week, he didn't dodge the question. He didn't say no chance or probably not. He said they're taking it day by day, and he pointed out that his practice window is now open after not being open last week. That's a massive shift. That means the team has officially decided he's far enough along to start testing him in football settings. Players who are weeks away don't get their window opened. This is about readiness, not just rehab. So let me ask you this. When you hear Fred talk about being day-to-day, does that sound like a player preparing to suit up, or a player still far from returning? Put your answer in the comments, and while you're down there, make sure you're subscribed because we're tracking every single development with this defense and this Seahawks matchup. If you want these injury breakdowns and practice updates as soon as they drop, Hitting that bell makes a big difference, and it helps us keep pushing toward that 1,000 subscriber goal. Here's where this really starts to get interesting, because the moment Fred Warner's practice window opened, everything changed from a medical story to a football decision. When a team opens a player's window, they're telling you he's passed enough checkpoints to at least be evaluated in real football situations. That doesn't happen for guys who are still in pain or still structurally limited. It happens when the medical staff believes the player can move, cut, and take contact without putting himself at serious risk. So the fact that Fred is even out there tells you how far along he actually is. And today's high-tempo practice matters more than almost anything else. This is when the coaching staff pushes the pace, increases movement, and stresses the body in ways that simulate game action. If Fred makes it through this session and comes out clean, that's usually the biggest hurdle. That's why so many teams list guys as questionable after a full-speed practice day, because it shows they can handle the workload. From there, it's not about can he physically do it anymore. It becomes, does he feel confident and does the staff feel good about the risk? You also have to look at the timing. They didn't open his window just for fun. They opened it because Seattle is coming up. This is a game that matters emotionally and competitively. Fred is the type of player who will push every boundary to be there for a matchup like this, especially against a division rival. That leadership element matters. When he's on the field, everyone else lines up faster, communicates better, and plays with more edge. That's not something new. Replicate with a backup. So let me throw this to you. If Fred Warner practices again tomorrow, do you think the 49ers should play him against Seattle? Yes or no? Drop your answer below. And if you want to keep getting this kind of behind-the-scenes look at how these decisions get made, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps us get there. And if you're enjoying this breakdown, hit the like button because it tells YouTube this is worth showing to more Niners fans. Now let's talk about what this actually means on the field, because Fred Warner doesn't just make the defense better, he changes the entire personality of this team. When he's out there, the middle of the field is completely different. Quarterbacks hesitate more, run lanes close faster, and the communication across the defense becomes sharper. Against Seattle specifically, that's huge. Their offense lives off timing throws, play action, and finding space over the middle, and Fred is one of the best in football at erasing those windows before they even appear. That's why the idea of this being the same game as that ugly 13-3 matchup just doesn't hold up. With Fred missing, the 49ers didn't have their usual command in the middle of the defense. With him back, you're talking about a completely different energy, both mentally and physically. You can already hear how people inside the building are talking about what it means to have him around again. That's not just hype. That's the leader of your defense walking back into the room and raising everyone's standard. And Seattle fans can chirp all they want, but this would not be the same environment if Fred is calling plays, getting guys lined up, and flying sideline to sideline. His presence alone forces offenses to adjust their game plan. That gives the 49ers a real edge, especially in a game where every possession matters. So I want to know what you think. Do you believe this is a totally different game if Fred Warner is back in the lineup? Let me know in the comments, and if you're fired up about what this could mean for the 49ers, make sure you're subscribed and smash the like button so we can keep pushing toward that 1,000 subscriber mark and keep this coverage rolling for you. When you put all of this together, it really does start to feel like the signs are lining up in one direction. Fred Warner is practicing, his window is open. His doctor said a return was possible. He didn't shut down this week when asked. And the team has him out there on a high-tempo day with the Seahawks coming up. That's not coincidence. That's a player being pushed toward a real decision. Nothing is official yet, and nobody is pretending it is, but if you follow enough of these situations, you know this is exactly what it looks like when a guy is trying to get back for a big game. That's why reading the tea leaves matters here. The language, the timing, and the way the team is handling him all point toward him at least being listed as questionable, and that's usually the final step before a player gives it a real go. From a football standpoint, it makes too much sense. From a leadership standpoint, it makes even more sense. Fred is the type of player who wants to be out there when it matters most, and everything we've heard suggests he's doing everything possible to make that happen. So let's end this the right way. Do you think Fred Warner plays against Seattle? Yes or no? Put your answer in the comments, and if you really want to see this channel keep growing, make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and your support directly helps us keep bringing you this kind of real-time, in-depth for Niners coverage.